like that.
Right. Like it goes all the way to the top. You
right.
know, that kind of thing.
Like when they had those worms in their necks or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Which then we never saw them again.
Right. And everybody was fine after they were removed.
Yeah, that's how it works. Now I'm fine. It's all good.
Of course, Picard makes a face, and so it seems like it's more serious than just who she is, but I wonder if it's like they want you to kind of just think of that by watching the trailer, so then you'll be thrown off for something bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, I mean, with these trailers these days, I think a lot of filmmakers and TV makers are absolutely using trailer trickery just to throw you off, which is fine because it's fun to speculate, and then it's fun to then see how it all works out. And sometimes they really do throw you for a loop. But if this guy is not, this guy could be like a nameless or, you know, a guy that shows up in one episode and his dying, you know, clue is to find the truth about how they're manufacturing datas or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it could easily be something huge, or it could be find the truth about Daj and then she's the key to everything else. It could also be that, you know. So, and maybe she's not even aware, because it seems like she's not even aware of who she is in the grand scheme of things, because she's like, oh, something in me just tells me I have to find you. Like, she just randomly searches out Picard. Like, why?
And it's really hard to know if she's just going to be a red herring or not.
Right.
You know?
I'll have to say, though, if it ends up that she's a red herring, and I think I'm not going to like that very much, but
right,
because I feel like they've really set her up to be somebody important. But I mean, not to get too much into Star Wars, but like it's kind of like before Last Jedi came out, we were all speculating like who were Rey's parents, and then, you know, the Last Jedi's answer was they're nobody, and that pissed some people off, and for other people they were satisfied with that answer. So I don't know if we're getting this build up of like who is Daj, and then we get she's actually nobody.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'll feel about that. I don't think I'm going to enjoy that very much.
I don't think I would either. But, you know, I was just throwing it out there because everybody wants to be the next, like, Game of Thrones. So everybody wants to do something crazy and different. And, you know, if you stray too far from, like, the original, like, because that's not necessarily how Star Trek does things.
Right.
You know.
No. It's not, but I think we could agree, and you having seen a lot of Next Generation recently, this show feels very different than Next Gen in a lot of ways. And you look at Discovery's very different. It has a different tone, a different feel than what you think of as Trek. And so if they step outside the box, I mean, I don't automatically like, I don't like it. Right. Like I don't feel that way, but nor do I want them to step so far outside the box that they're in another box.
Right,
and I'm just
exactly.
Like,
that's kind of what I would be afraid, because because all of the different iterations have their own sort of feel. Like some of them are a little closer, you know, because, you know, Next Generation and Deep Space Nine overlap some, you know, so they have a little bit of the same feel at times, but not, you know, they're a little bit different. So it's fine for all of them to be kind of different. I mean, I don't want them to all be exactly the same.
No, because that's how you let your franchise grow.
Yeah, I also don't want it to be, you know, all space battles and no heart.
Absolutely. If it's all space battles and no heart, I don't feel like that's Star Trek anymore.
No.
I will say, though, that the fact that the show is using Jean-Luc Picard as their main character, and his entire life has been devoted to exploration and understanding the past and reaching to the future, always going forward in the stars. I think we will have space battles for sure, because even in Next Gen we've had space battles, but I don't think they'll be the focus, because that's just not Trek's calling card.
This universe of Treks calling card.
No, it's not. I expect space battles in other franchises.
Mm-hmm.
I expect more space battles in other franchises, but in Star Trek, yes, I do expect at least one space battle, but I also expect a lot of exploration.
Yes.
And a lot of talking and a lot of technobabble. Oh, give me more technobabble, please.
Yeah. The search for knowledge is a big thing in Star Trek. Then expounding on it with all the technobabble.
Yes, absolutely.
So we go to the next scene and we see Dodge in a room and she looks like she's punching someone or something. Have we seen something like this before? I feel like we've seen her in this room, but I know she was in looked like her room in one of the other trailers where she was like sitting on a bed. But this one, it's like she's just like punching, and I couldn't tell if she was on land or space because it was just dark outside the windows that were on the ceiling. But
yeah, hard to tell.
And because it wasn't like, it was just sort of hard to tell because of where the windows were too. Because it's like, you could be on a part of a spaceship that would have windows there, or it could be, whatever. What are they called? Sun lights. Is that what they're called? I can't remember. Yeah, skylights.
Skylights.
Yeah. Yeah, like you could have those on a land house or whatever. So
yeah.
Did you have any thoughts to where she might be, or what she might be?
That to me is
punching.
Maybe it's. I kind of feel like it might be a ship, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I feel like it might be on a ship.
Like, I thought it might be because of how dark it was outside, but you couldn't see any stars or planets or anything, so it's just like, ugh.
Oh, that's a good point. It is quite dark. I mean, she could be on a holodeck. She could be on...
I didn't think about that, because maybe she's fighting someone that she, like Data, when he was repeatedly fighting the Borg and the time when he felt feelings.
Right.
Something we talked about not real long ago.
Yeah.
Maybe she's training or something. I don't know, but it's weird. It's like she was caught off guard in her bedroom or something is what it seems like.
She could also be in a cell. She could be...
And just be tearing things up because she's angry. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll see soon. So then we see a large ship flying near a planet with some smaller ships around it, and there's some big logos on the sides of all the crafts, and I did not recognize those logos, so I didn't know what they were. Do you know what they are?
I think... Oh, gosh. Don't yell at me, Trek fans. I think those are Delta Flyers.
Okay, what is
which
that?
Which are small little ships that we saw a lot of in Voyager.
Oh.
I think those are Delta Flyers.
Okay.
Which they have a slightly different... I mean, of course, they have the Starfleet logo on them somewhere, but I think that's the Delta Flyer logo on the side.
And, like, the bigger one might house them or something.
It could be, or that could be a space station. It looks almost like a space station to me.
Yeah.
So if somebody listening to this
could
knows...
just be in orbit, is why it seemed like it was moving.
Yes, I think it might be in orbit. If I had to guess, that's probably a space station in orbit. If somebody listening to this knows exactly what those are, and you know that I'm wrong, please gently correct me via email, or you can hit us up on Twitter, of course. But
and we do have an email from a while back that we'll talk about later. I forgot.
Yay! Email!
Yeah. Awesome. All right, so then we go to the next scene, and we see Dr. Girardi. She's outside. There's an unseen person who's reaching for her face and touches it, so it looks like a mind meld, like you said earlier. And to me, it was somebody with long, dark hair, and I'm like, well, that could be Elnor, even though he's supposed to be Romulan. Romulans and Vulcans are related, so it's like it could be him or it could be somebody completely different. But I was like, the hands don't really look like a guy's hands, but then when you see him later, I'm like, it could be. So what if he's Vulcan pretended to be Romulan, or I don't know, because he's got that long hair and it just really throws me off from him supposed to be Romulan.
No, I get it. It's not usually what we see from a Romulan.
Yeah. I mean, you don't see it from Vulcans either, but it almost seems like they would be more likely to, because it's sort of samurai kind of thing, and they're more logical and exact, like I would think that samurai are. Does that make any sense? And then he has that sword, and it just really throws me off.
Yeah, and it's so odd. Like it's so odd because usually the Romulans are like more modeled after like the Roman Empire, obviously for their name and like Centurions and all that. But yeah, this Romulan has a samurai sword, and it's like, oh, where is this coming from? This scene really intrigues me. This is new. If that is a Vulcan, and that is a mind meld about to happen, obviously, like, we want to know who's that Vulcan, how do they feature in the show, and why do they need to mind meld with Dr. Jurati? Like, what information does she have in her head that they need to access?
Or they could give her information.
Oh, you know what? Thank you. That's an excellent point. They could be giving her information. What information is she receiving? Because it does go both ways, the mind meld.
Because it would be safer to do that than write something down or whatever, or 100%. Send like a message. Yeah,
absolutely. You can mind meld with somebody and put it right in their head. This scene is very intriguing to me. I want to know who that Vulcan is, and I want to know what the mind meld is for sure.
I know, and I'm just like, ugh, this is gonna drive me crazy, all this stuff.
I know.
And it's like, we're not gonna see all of this stuff in the first episode, so it's gonna be like the whole season. It's like, well, where's this? Where's that? What's happening?
I know.
Anyway, so then we see a Borg cube, because I just always like to call them Borg cubes. There's some ships flying past. Then we see Elnor with his sword, and by sort of a panel on the wall, it looked like it was probably the Borg cube to me, but I didn't know what you thought. It's sort of Borgy, one panel on the wall, and he's got a sword, and he like is in a stance, and then he starts to lower it, and that's...
Yeah, what's interesting to note about the flash of the Borg cube is that in previous trailers, the Borg cube has had a blue force field, which in general, blue is the color that the Federation uses for their force fields and shields and all that, which is something I did not pick up on. A friend pointed it out to me that it's blue, which usually is Federation. And in this one, it's green, which is the signature Borg color.
Okay.
So I don't know what the difference is in the sense of like, does it mean different things? Could the previous trailers we've seen be a Borg ship that the Federation has captured, like an abandoned Borg ship, or all the Borg have been unborgified? That's not a real word. It's a word I made up. And they're studying it. They've been deborged, and they're studying it. I don't know. But this Borg ship has a green force field, which is what the Borg ships normally use. Yeah.
Okay.
So just a little tiny note there. What it means in the grand scheme of things, I'm not 100% sure, but it is a difference worth noting.
Nice. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that either. So thank you, Rebecca's friend.
Yes.
So then we have what I think is like a flashback, because we saw a little bit of this before in one of the other scenes where it's, it's Daj and Narek, and, all lovey-dovey and stuff in the different scene. And this one, I wrote that they're in bed under sheets canoodling.
Canoodling? Seen canoodling, Daj and Narek.
Read all about it on page 6.
Yes. The Federation Times.
Yes, and it's like every time I see this kind of thing, I'm like, I don't need any of that. Get out of here. Oh, it's like I just need my grandpa Jean-Luc Picard.
Grandpa?
Because I wrote like down at the bottom of my notes, I was thinking about other things to talk about, and I wrote about how his shirts are more covered up than he was. I'd already said that. And that he's aged pretty well, because Harrison Ford is 2 years younger than him. Exactly 2 years. They have the same birthday, which I didn't know until I was looking it up today. And that Harrison Ford has not aged very well. Like, in the last 10 years, he's getting to be old man.
Very quickly.
Yes.
Yeah. I have to say, Patrick Stewart still looks really good.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Like, I wouldn't have ever been like, oh, he was 50 when he started Star Trek. He was like 47 or whatever. But anyway, like, I wouldn't have said that he was about 50 then, and then that he's almost 80 now. You know, I would never. But you know, he's too old for the V-neck shirts. But that's fine. That's fine. I understand. I would probably be